So, she is amazing. I'm drinking to try and forget the evening's humiliation. Our writer friends, we have a lot of them, they find us to be a very unusual couple. Not because of the black and white thing. I think most of us are over that now.
Are we?
I hope. But because we write together, sometimes sitting together in the same room, but always sharing work in progress, passing it back and forth. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And then editing the final work. I edit Patricia's books of poetry. She edits my novels. And we never fight about it. And we never get mad. Most of our writer friends cannot do this. They say that if they try and edit each other, that it becomes violent.
I was married to a poet before, and such was not the case. Okay, it was interesting because he was not, I don't know, was not a very talented poet. So he kind of like rode my coattails. I go somewhere and he's going, I have to go too, you know. And so there were lots of fights. There were lots of fights that way. But I don't know if it's a poetry and prose thing. But I think it begins with a basic respect for the other person's passion. Like, this is not a recreational activity for me. It's basically how I move my life from one place to another. Okay, so those of you who write, you're going to get to a juncture. You're going to have to ask yourself, if there were no audiences, if there was no prospect of ever publishing anything, would I still be writing? And would I take it out of the kitchen drawer and read it to myself when I needed it and put it back? So if your answer is no, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're just writing for another reason. So I think when you align yourself with someone who's writing for that same reason, then all that other stuff kind of falls away. You know, you realize that. So, every once in a while I'll get a passage or something and I'll say, we have a big room with an office where Bruce is on one side, I'm on the other. And normally we work in silence. But then I'll pipe up and say, listen to this, and he'll say, eh. It was really, early on it was really interesting. I tend to tiptoe into my poems. I'm big for setting. So I like, this is where this is taking place, this is the sounds, this is the sight, blah, 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 and here's a poem. And he's used to being an editor, so he would take the first part of it and just draw a big red X through like the first third of the poem and go, here's your poem starts here. And the first couple of times I kind of bristled at that. I didn't say anything, but then I go in and perform the poem and I do it his way and my way, and his way was always right. When someone's used to hearing where the voice takes on energy and electricity, then you need to kind of learn to listen to them. And then I realized I needed to get started with my poems sometimes, I needed to walk my way into them. And all that walking, although they may have some lines in it that I thought were really good, it could all go. The funny thing is, not wanting to get rid of lines, it's like, you think if you get rid of a line, you will never see it again. I mean, you can use it. You can use it somewhere else. It's just like, oh no, my line, It always can come back. It still exists, But, and also, I'd say, blah, 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 blah. I get midway through a poem and go, here's the really good line I really like. And he would say, you get rid of the first part of the poem, he'd say, start with the good line. Don't, or I'd say, or we like this ending. He goes, okay, take that, start with the ending, write it in the poem.
I have a really important question.
What would that be?
Do you think that this chair should be for the woman or for the old person?
No. He should keep the chair. You know why? Okay. Because he's used to reading like this. I'm used to reading standing up. Like right now, there's like a vibing wire in the center of my body. Anytime I read poems, it's like, I'll get tired later. But right now, I'm just like, okay, we can do another 2 hours of this, So I'm good. I'm good standing up.
So it is true, when I edit your work, most of what I do is suggest cuts.
Yes. He doesn't edit. He doesn't say, I think this would be a better... He doesn't... doesn't edit the poem itself. He won't mess with the poetry in it because I don't think he feels like he has that. He doesn't have the qualifications, chops, to do that. You know. Every once in a while, there's word suggestions and stuff like that. See, because when I do my poetry, when I write, I say my stuff out loud. All of you do, right? When you write, you say, you get that one line, you say it over and over again. So the second line comes, and you say, right? Okay. And so then, by the time you're done, you internalize it, which is good and bad because you become kind of wedded to each line. So when someone starts to edit it, you go, not that line, leave that alone, you know. You're ready to fight, you know.
But yeah, mostly I suggest cuts. Sometimes it's just a word, sometimes it's a whole section. But I'll also, I'm very careful about changing anything. So what I'll do is if I see something that I think could be better, I'll just circle it. I might just circle a word or a phrase. And with our shorthand now, because we've done this for several years now, she knows that means what I'm saying is, I'm not sure what should be here, but I think you can do better than this. And then leave it to her to find a solution if there is one. When you write, when you edit my work, it's almost the opposite. Patricia's writing naturally is very, very rich, very sensual. She loves words and she uses lots of them. My writing tends to be the opposite. It tends to be fair. It tends to be tight.
I walked into his office.
It tends to use as few words as possible.
And I go crazy.
And what kind of office? What color was it?
And so when she edits my work, when she edits my work, she'll say, "Tell me more about this." And so she tends to help me make my work a little richer, a little more descriptive, a little more lyrical. And I tend to make hers a little tighter and crisper.
Okay, funny thing?
Without really either of us messing up one another's styles, right?
Okay, man and woman. A man and woman in his novel, they're in a room, they're obviously going to do something, right? So
But
here they are,
I'm
she's wearing, so, no, really we get to the she's wearing. They're coming to the room, he's like, I'm lost. I go, what? They're about to do so. I don't know how to write that. So
A
it's
love
like,
scene, I can't do it.
what would she be wearing? How would he respond to what she's wearing? What would the first touch be like? What would, you know, and I was like, you have made love before, I know. But it's like, you know what, there are words, I do this with my students. My students write love poems, and they're just awful. It's like the same 50 words over and over again. And when you think about it, there are comfortable words you come back to when you write love, eroticism, anything like that. Same words over and over. So with my students, I made a list of 100 words. I said, don't use these. Throw, heat, kiss, all that stuff. Just don't use them, you know. So it's hard, it's very, for those of you who write any kind of prose, even a love poem, it's really hard to do in a way that hasn't been done before. So for somebody who doesn't, you know, it's like, I've got two people in the room, you know what they're going to do. You can think it over in your head, but it's really hard to put into words. So when he comes to the man and woman in the room, he's like, hello, Patricia, what are you doing? Come here, what am I doing? You know. So I help him out with that. And he's right. I tend to be more lush and descriptive because of the kind of stuff he's writing. Crime novels, you know, they're very terse. Boom, boom, boom. And I would suggest somebody said, no, my character would never think like that. So with my poems, where I'm going overboard, where I've got too much description, I'm going on too long, he will say, this is where you need to cut down. With his things where it's too terse, and I go, no woman in her right mind is going to read this love scene. You know, she's just not going to respond. You know, you have some titillation in there. Then I can add things to his writing. He takes things away from him.
Absolutely right.
Right?
Okay. But we never get irritated with each other over that. And almost everyone else that we know who tries to do that, they end up fighting. Why is that? It's true.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's also there's a competition thing involved. I mean, so I did the thing and
But she's already won the competition.
no, I haven't. I got the National Book Award finalist thing. Then I got finalists. Mark Doty beat me. Okay. He won the Edgar. Okay. So yeah, I know. It's like, oh, he won the Edgar. So I was like kind of there's a healthy competition. Like there are things I want to win. There, you know, and I guess I've got this thing that still says to me, do this, and be accepted. I mean, I don't think this is really right, but this is how my mind works. That there are things that I'm striving for simply because I got introduced to poetry by getting up on stage and doing it. And having a lot of people tell me, because you came up on stage that way, there are now things you cannot do. You cannot win this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't get published here. Ooh, hi. No problem. That's no problem. You know, so there's a little bit of that in me where I'm kind of constantly struggling to say, just because you got introduced by speaking poetry instead of being in some classroom and having someone sanction it for you, doesn't mean that you're less of a writer. So I push that way.
If we don't have much time left, I want to take some questions.
Sure. Oh, yes, questions?
Is there anything that you're stubborn about with the criticism? Have you defended any of the criticisms that you've had of each other?
Yeah, sometimes Patricia will suggest something and I'll say, no, that's not going to work. That's not my character review. But because she suggests something, it makes me take another look at that section. And so I might then do something to it. I might not do what she suggested, but I'll probably do something that changes it because she makes me think about it.
As far as I'm concerned, I might not make, this always happens, people suggest a change, and I might not make the exact change, but it will make me look at that section in another way, and something will change. Maybe not exactly what he's saying because he's not really versed in poetry, so he'll be saying something that's more concrete to me, and I'm trying to look for some way to make it a lyrical change. So I know when he says something, a change is indicated, but not always the change that he says. Yes.
Like we're talking just now, like if these committees sort of expose their ignorance through having sort of like this tunnel vision sort of box idea of what literary art is, then why do the award matter so much?
For me, awards matter because it helps sell books. Seriously, you know? I mean, when I won the Edgar Award, the next day, I sold 3,000 Kindle versions of my book. The next day. So, you know, it matters for simple, practical reasons for me.
For me, I'm a product of the Chicago public school system, where English was an elective. And when I was a kid, because I don't know where my love of words came from. I really don't. I think I suspect my father, but I was writing these essays when I was a kid, and they pulled me out of class one day, and they put me in a room by myself, no books, no nothing, and told me to write something because they suspected that I was copying things because I knew words that a little colored girl on the west side of Chicago wasn't supposed to know. And to me, that was kind of the beginning of it, where you are out of your place, little girl, you know. And to me, and right or wrong, it's kind of a justification, you know, where you come from one thing and then you look around. I was at the Bowery Poetry Club one day and I looked like down the row of people I was dealing with, and it was, I don't know how many people, it was like Mark Strand, and it, you know, we were on this committee, you know, on this panel together, and we were reading together, and, you know, or I go someplace and there's Billy Collins, and Billy Collins is looking at me like, who the hell are you? You know? And I want to be able to prove, not through, the awards get you to a place where you can say, you have to listen to my words, you have no choice. And that's, to me, that's what they mean. It puts me in an arena where I can do what I've always done and say, you are not the only voice that exists, that matters. There's something else going on and you need to be aware of it. But it's hard for me to get in that space unless something propels me there.
Any other questions?
That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Once again, you have been blessed by literary royalty. Bruce DeSilva, Patricia Smith, give him some LOVE. You don't get stuff like this at those other places. Did you have a good time tonight? Oh man, I'm so happy I'm part of the Inspired Word family. Because I'm like, it's over, when will I do this again? But I host every Tuesday the same type of funky cool vibe. We do the show every Thursday, so you know where to come to have a good time. Again, our feature performance for tonight, Patricia Smith and Bruce DeSilva, as they make their way back up here and show them some love. Our hostess tonight, Ms. Christina Mendez. Give us some LOVE. My pleasure. Assistant Director Marvin Mellinger, give us some love. And Master Magician, that's it, you can be too talking right now. Michael P. Geffner, give us some happy birthday love. Once again, Patricia Smith. My name is Nathan P. Tuesdays, Thursdays, circle it. Every one of them right here in this room, the Inspired Word. Hope you had a good time tonight. Give yourself some love.